laws of kings. Because Mashiach is going to be a king, a person, a physical being. Man, flesh and blood. And there's only one coming. Although I get messages every day from so many people. Second coming. This is not a Jewish concept. It's complete nonsense, drivel, garbage. We're still waiting for the first coming. You'll know Mashiach has come because one of the main features of Mashiach's arrival is there's no more war. Any wars in the world today? How many wars are there in the world today? Right now, actively accepted, about 30, 35 wars. I mean, you only hear about one, Israel and Palestine, because that's all, no Jews, no news, right? Make no mistake. There's tons of them. There's thousands and hundreds of thousands of people being killed throughout the world, unfortunately, through war. Lo aleinu. And yet they just speak about ours, like ours is the only one in the entire world. So all the UN condemnations come against us. That's because it's Jews. Jews equals news. It's just the way it's always been. And weirdly enough, it's the way it should be. There's a special microscope, lens on the Jewish people specifically, especially the land of Israel. Because as we say, Hashem's eyes are on the land of Israel, Mereshet Hashanah, Ad Achrit Hashanah, says Moshe Rabbeinu in the Torah. The Jewish people, especially the land of Israel, have Hashem's eyes on them the entire year. So we're always going to be page 1 of the New York Times. Don't read it. But we're always going to be the front page of every paper. That's just the way it's always going to be. So thousands of people could be killed elsewhere in other wars. Lo ma'nyan oti. Doesn't interest me. This is what stands out. With that in mind, I'm going to finish with this. I want to read to you, nothing Kabbalistic, although I could if you want, but we'll save that for another time. I want to read something which is a Mishnah. A Mishnah, right? You know Mishnah, the oral Torah, first to be written down. And the Mishnah is at the end of Tractate Sota. Sota. Now, I would have thought a Mishnah. Most Mishnahs follow a certain pattern, right? They're in Hebrew, right? And they tell us about laws and other ideas. But did you know there's a Mishnah that discusses what the world is going to be like right before Mashiach's arrival? And as I can't go into too much detail to prove it, but I could prove to you very clearly that the generation we're in right now, that Hashem elected all of us to be alive in, is right now. We're in the pre-messianic era. I'm going to read to you part of this Mishnah. Okay? And you can look it up yourselves, so you're not making it up. The first couple of words say a lot. Be'ikvot Mashiach. Again, it's very weird. The Mishnah doesn't usually do this. This stands out. And why it's in Tractate Sota, we'll have a discussion later on. You can think about. The footsteps of Mashiach. You know this expression? Akev, Ikvasei de Mashiach. It's a rabbinic term. It doesn't appear in the Torah or Tanakh as far as I know. It's a rabbinic term called the heels of Mashiach, which means right before Mashiach comes. Because when you hear, basically, usually translated as the footsteps of Mashiach. Right before Mashiach comes, we're going to see a number of things that are going to be happening in the world. I'm going to run through, it's a checklist, a Mishnah checklist. Very unusual. Akev. By the way, you know there's a parish called Akev, because Akev is all about the heel. Certain mitzvot that we crush with our heel that don't mean too much, unfortunately, to us, because they seem very, very simple. So we'll leave that aside. I'll just plant that into your heads. So the Mishnah says, right before Mashiach comes, chutzpah yiskeh. There's going to be a lot of chutzpah in the world. People are going to be very, very, as your parents always say to you, you're very chutzpahdik. Had I spoken that way to my parents, I would have got that. Right? Come on. You've heard that 1,000 times, right? I know, because I'm blessed with 5 kids, 4 daughters. That's what I'll ever tell them. You got a lot of chutzpah. Oh, Abba. Chutzpah yiskeh. All your teachers are like, I could stop the mission right there. Dayenu. We could all walk out and go home. The amount of chutzpah before Mashiach comes, says the mission is going to be unbelievable. V'yoker ya'amir. We're going to see the expenses are going to rise. A lot of expenses, financial expenses. Hagefen titempiri of ayam b'yoker. There's going to be a lot of expensive wine. That's what I need to know. Says one of the amazing commentators, the Tiferet Yisrael. What the Mishnah is saying, before Mashiach comes, there's going to be such a lack of spirituality, or a search for it, such a void in most people's lives, that they're going to turn to wine, alcohol, and I'm going to add drugs, because, it's a go-to term before Mashiach comes. People are going to be searching, stuck in this terrible situations. The only satisfaction they're going to have is by taking drugs. That's what Tiferet Yisrael says. That's what it means, a lot of wine. We're going to see governments are going to be completely irreligious. It used to be that most governments of the world, most kings and queens were very religious people. Okay, maybe they weren't in favor of our religion, right? And maybe they wanted to kill us because we weren't there, but they believed in God. They were ma'aminim. Mishnah is saying you're going to see, and the prophet Joel speaks about this, and Daniel references it, Daniel the prophet, a lot about him, but not for now, that we're going to see a lot of atheism in the world, which didn't exist beforehand. All of this, just so you understand, just download this following idea, is going to be the breakdown of an old order that is going to be replaced by a new Mashiach reality. Are you understanding what I'm saying? If you've been asleep up to now, please wake up, listen to these words. We are seeing the last throes of an old world and a new world where Mashiach is going to be the beginning of that, but it's not just about him, it's about the entire world. We talk about Mashiach coming, it's not one person who becomes a king in the land of Israel. It's a complete change. Everything that we know is going to be completely turned on its head. There has to be a breakdown of it. So atheism, for some reason, people are not going to rebuke these individuals. Beit vad liznut, study where people study, place where people study. We used to be places where people study, and grew as people, is going to be used for sexual immorality. Read what it says. Vahagalil, the north of Israel, Yecharav, is going to be destroyed. Right, north of Israel, Lebanon. And listen to this. Va'anshe gvul, and people who live on the borders of Israel, because now we're focusing on Israel, Yisavavu me'ir la'ir, are going to end up having to leave their homes and have to travel around the country. Ve'en, and no one is going to give them chananenu, going to take care of them. Right? Which we're living in right now. First of all, we have possession of the land of Israel, which we haven't had for 2,000 years. The north of Israel is going to be attacked. The borders, people are going to have to move inland because they're being attacked from all sides, especially from the western side, Gaza. So all of this is spoken about. Chachmat Sofrim Tisrach. Hold on, there's a punchline to this entire story. So hold on. The wisdom of smart people is going to decrease. Tisrach is going to disappear. People are going to be idiots. That's the Mishnah's way of saying it in a very nice way. But I can say the reality. People who fear sin, this is important to our generation. Okay? People who fear sin, yimasu, are going to be hated. If you say, yeah, I keep Shabbat, I keep kosher, right, I try to do mitzvah, used to people like, oh, that's impressive. Now, what is that? What, the Middle Ages? Didn't used to be that way. People used to respect observant people, Jewish and non-Jewish. Now, if you just say I'm a believer in God, like, come on, that's so 1585, you know what I'm saying? The Mishnah is saying, yeah, there's going to be pockets of truth. It's going to be very hard to find truth in the world before Mashiach comes. You're going to have to dig very deep to find pockets of truth that exist in the world. And in our generation, you just got to hang on. Na'arim penei zakenim yalbinu. Young people are going to embarrass older people. They're going to make their faces turn white from embarrassment. Zakenim yamdu mipnei ketanim. Old people are going to stand for young people, which is nahafakol, the other way around. Used to be the young people, when an old person walks in, right? But Zaken Yakum, you're going to stand up for them. So no. It's an upside down world. Olam hafuch. Old people are going to have to show respect for the young, I hate using this word, but I have to use it, influencers. Going to give them all the respect. Upside down world where old people are, they're old, what do they know? There's a lot more to say on that, because the speed up of the world and technology before Mashiach comes, old people become obsolete. And for us, the Jewish people, the Torah way of thinking, old people are the treasure house of wisdom. But we already said, there's going to be a lack of wisdom in the entire world. Bat kama be'ima, a daughter is going to rise against her mother. The next part I don't understand. The ima bakala, a daughter-in-law is going to hate her mother-in-law. Ladies in the back, I have no idea what that's talking about. I'm just reading what it says. How anyone could not like their mother-in-law makes no sense to me whatsoever. But that's what the Mishnah says. There's going to be, jokes aside, there's going to be a separation between generations. And people are going to be rebelling against their elders right before Mashiach comes. And then the most famous verse, which some of you may have heard. Pnei hador, pnei hakelev. The face of the generation has the face of a dog. Now, sounds like an insult. Face of generation, face of a dog. What, we're going to look like our dogs? According to Rashi, yeah. People are going to start looking like their own dogs. You ever seen that? You ever walk down the street, right, and look at a person's face, and look at their dog, look at the face like, it's uncanny. It's exactly the same. Same floppy ears, same weird hair, same wet nose. It's the same thing. That's why at the end of every class, when I mention this idea, there's always one girl who runs over to me, but Rabbi, you're going to meet my dog. Right? People, for some reason, always want to see a picture of their dog on their phone through a cracked screen. The screen's always cracked. So there's got to be a cracked screen. Right? I'm like, I don't want to look at your dog through a cracked screen. I don't want to look at your dog at all, to be honest with you. I don't mind them. Rashi says people are going to act like they're dogs. What do dogs do? Whatever they want. Where? Wherever they want. In the public domain. Things that people used to do privately before Mashiach comes, they're going to do publicly. Things you used to hide in your diary, and if you had like a diary with a lock on it, you would hide it away. Now I'm going to put it online, and if you don't read my diary online, I hate you. This is exactly what we're dealing with. There's no privacy. People are public about all their sick and twisted habits that I really don't want to know. That's one answer. There's a very, very famous idea of face the generation as a face of a dog. The one girl said to me, is that why people always put dog filters on their faces? It could be. Or it could be their nuts. I don't even know. Rav Salanta mentions that before Mashiach comes, people are going to act like a dog. What does that mean? You ever seen a dog walk with their master? The dog is always in front. The dog always walks in front of you, right? It's on a leash. If it's not on a leash, it just runs ahead. And if you were to see that scene, you would think the dog is in charge, that the dog is leading the master. But as soon as the master makes a left turn, what does the dog do? It turns its face and doubles back and follows. Now you know who's really in charge. Same thing. The face of the generation means the leaders of the generation, because they're the face, the influencers, people who influence the world. Those people you think are in charge. But actually they're just following the masters. Whatever the people want, we'll give them. Whatever you want to say, we'll do for you. A world where people have no real morals or ethics. A world where someone says white is black, black is white, yellow is green when it's not. That's the way it's going to be. That's a man. That's not a man. We're telling you that's a man. That's what everyone says. We agree with them. And that's a woman. Are you sure? Yeah. No morals, just whatever it is, and you have to follow what we say. Because there's no truth anymore. It's whatever your truth is. That's not the way the Torah looks at life. That is not the way a Jewish head has to think. And it carries on and says that we're going to see more challenge between generations. Here's the punchline, and we'll finish with this. The Mishnah says something which I've never seen in any other Mishnah. So we've seen the breakdown of the Jewish people in the world. The breakdown of families. You can't trust your government, right? Because, you can't trust your family because, what do they know? Right? You can't trust your friends. You can't trust your rabbis. Right? There's no more wisdom. So who's left? Hashem, that's it. And that's how the Mishnah ends. Who can we rely upon? Ela al Avinu B'Shamayim. Hashem is stripping away everything that we've relied upon for hundreds, if not thousands of years. Hashem's like, enough of that. Don't trust your government. Don't trust your rabbis half the time. You've got to find your own emunah in Hashem. And emunah, faith, is the key to help us get through this period.